Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a video for you here today from Men Only about modern women freaking out because they are losing food assistance benefits. That is absolutely hilarious. Let's jump into it.
$175, and yes, they accept EBT. If you're proud enough to put it out on the internet, then be proud enough to defend it. Here we go.
I want chocolate. I'm sorry, Grandma. Yeah.
The stuff that she's loading up in her cart is garbage that is terrible for everybody, especially young children, by the way. This is borderline neglect for her children's health and development.
Oh no, sorry.
I'm sure this wasn't the worst one of the day. And for anyone who's like, this is none of your business, and I don't know why you're doing this, the minute they post it to the internet, loud and proud, it becomes my business. EBT is supposed to be a hand up, not a handout. More people need to recognize that it's being used to pick up snack bills rather than actual food necessities.
It's such an odd defense to tell critics that it's none of their business to comment on their terrible shopping habits, as if that's really the issue at hand.
Snacks. Sugary snack drinks. More snacks. Sodas. More sodas. These big ass packs of body armor are not cheap. Also not a necessity. Pop-Tarts. More snacks. More snacks. More snacks. More snacks. But it did get a little better towards the end. You got a couple of these pork loins, which are fantastic. You put them in the crock pot, let them cook down for about 4 hours. They're wonderful. You got a couple things of these chicken. Again, fantastic. That'll make at least one, maybe 2 meals. I think these are DiGiorno breakfast pizza croissants, maybe. And you can actually buy a 6-pack of croissants from your local bakery. They usually run about $6, and then you get a thing of eggs, you get a thing of bacon, and you can make little sandwiches that look and taste a lot like this.
The amount of chemicals that come in those pre-made breakfast sandwiches pretty much negates any nutritional benefit for her children. This is going to do nothing but weaken their bodies and lower their quality of life.
A lot cheaper than doing this way, and I know this because we used to buy stuff like this because my youngest loved them. Then we couldn't afford it anymore, and so I started making them from scratch. Minceless sliders, same thing. You can buy one of those big packs of the Hawaiian rolls, get a sliced deli ham, you can get cheese, put it all together, put a little butter on the top, stick it in the oven. You get way more than 8, and they will feed everybody for a day or 2. And I guarantee you they cost less than the pre-made ones. Some ground sausage, again, great choice. 2 things of bacon, great choice. You got a couple things of shredded cheese. Great choice if you need cheese, that's perfectly fine, but I did find out that the little blocks, you can get the exact same amount in the blocks, and the blocks are cheaper. For the last 3 days, we have been gaslit and been told that 800,000 children are going to starve because of the EBT implementations that have been going on in the Big Beautiful Bill. That's all the media wants to talk about. All thousands, hundreds of thousands of children, they're all going to starve. I know of no children who have starved by not having Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
If these people truly cared about their children, they would be making efforts to try and get parents to get their kids to eat better. But when you're wasting money on sugary snack foods, that's not feeding children, that's actually just fattening them up.
By not having muffin bites, and not having the Skittles sugar-free drinks, from not having body armors. The problem is not that there's people in need. The problem is that there's people who don't understand priorities. The chips, the snack cakes, the body armors, the Gatorades. You don't need those things, you want them. And then you use your money to do other things. That one lady from Costco, she spent hundreds of dollars redoing her daughter's room and her son's room. You can go. She's got it all listed on her Amazon. Go ahead and go buy it.
The hypocrisy being shown here is absolutely disturbing. You can't complain about your children having nothing to eat when you spend hundreds of dollars to redecorate their bedrooms. That's not a priority. Feeding them is the priority.
Also, aren't you the party that's like anti-consumerism? Is this not consumerism? A civilization that is dependent on the government is not a civilization. It's a prison. And nothing is going to change until that changes. Nothing is going to change until people walk away from the government. Then, and only then, can we start focusing on the other things. There's no way that we're going to even get anywhere near ahead as we need to be unless we've got everybody. And there's no way we're going to get everybody when we still have a whole bunch of people that are dependent on the very same government that's fucking them over.
The chief argument that these mothers use to buy this crap for their children is because healthy food is too expensive, apparently. So the alternative is to feed their own flesh and blood garbage while somebody else pays for it.
5 days since I have been able to eat anything.
Why, may you ask? Why haven't you ate in 5 days, Courtney? Well, because Donald Trump decided to change the rules when you collect welfare benefits, food stamps, cash assistance, Section 8, disability, whatever it is. So I have been cut off. I have never worked a day in my life. I have 6 kids, 6 mouths to feed, 4 baby daddies.
If this isn't a skit, she's clearly over-exaggerating for dramatic effect. A good mother would move heaven and earth to keep her children fed, but the second she receives a setback, she immediately complains, blames someone else, and takes no responsibility for her family whatsoever.
Okay, I don't receive child support. I don't have any income. I've never had a job. I'm not ever going to have a job. I don't want a job. The whole point of having the kids was to get government benefits. I have been collecting almost $10,000 a month in government benefits for 13 years. And now they just strip it from me. They take it from me.
Openly admitting that the only reason you had kids was to receive government benefits is absolutely horrible. If she actually cared about her kids, she'd get a job like any other parent, but she wants something for nothing at the cost of her own children.
How the hell am I supposed to feed my kids? How? How am I supposed to pay rent? This is bullshit. Not only that, I have over 335,000 followers, and not one person has offered to help me. What's the point of having all these followers if they don't care, right? It is your responsibility as a taxpayer to support me and my kids. So, support me.
It's not the responsibility of complete strangers to financially provide for another woman's children. This has been the norm for literally thousands of years.
A lady just received 10 years federal time for lying on her food stamp application. Now, y'all, I understand it's hard out here. I understand more than the next person, okay? Trust me, I get it. I've been denied several times myself. All I'm saying is, if you lie and go to jail because you was trying to feed your family, who's gonna feed your family?
These women can't think one step ahead of themselves. They openly lie and just assume that it's no big deal. And when they get caught, instead of owning up, they just use their children as leverage for public sympathy.
Y'all, it's not worth it, y'all. Like, I know this has been a thing for all of time. People have been lying on their food stamp application since it was invented. But y'all, they catching on. They catching on to y'all. They actually doing their background research. They checking to make sure the job matches the house, matches the medical bills, matches your name, matches your social security. They double checking now, y'all. Okay? So all that, let me lie, get a couple extra. Just be happy if you get it. Be happy with what you get. And that's it, y'all. Otherwise, you gonna be in the cell trying to figure out how you can get some soup.
Most of the people who lie on these applications are just trying to get as much as they can for the sake of having it. They are not lying on government applications to feed their families. They do it because they can, nothing more.
Food stamps. What does this big, beautiful bill do for those with food stamps? This will be some answers to questions that you've been having, so make sure you stay to the end. Number one, they're going to up work requirements. So, for example, let's just say you've been working, you lose your job, and then they have no more job availabilities in your area, especially those small areas. There's no more job availabilities. Well, before, they would waive that, right, until a job became available.
It used to be that if you lost your job, you immediately started to look for a new one, but now a lot of people use it as an excuse to do nothing, and the laziness isn't going to fly anymore for a lot of these women.
Now, they're saying you can't have that waiver, which brings us into number two, that you can't have that waiver unless unemployment in your area is at a 10%. Now, when I tell you 10% is extremely high, so even if your area is at 8%, 9%, none of that matters. You will not be able to get that waiver unless you're at a 10%. Now, there used to be an exception for single parents taking care of children. 18 and under. Now that's been lowered to 14.
You would think that if you lost your job and you had a family to support, you would look for anything just to bring in some income to look after your family. But that's not what's happening anymore. They just want their laziness to be enabled.
So you no longer have this waiver either if you cannot find a job. And one of the ways they determine if you're eligible for food stamp is if you have internet. So if you have internet, you will be less likely to get approved for food stamp because they believe internet is a luxury.
If you have the internet, that implies you have the means to look for work. Nobody likes looking and applying for jobs, but if it's the choice between that and your family starving, the choice is a no-brainer to me personally.
So here's a hypothetical situation. Let's call this woman Mary. Mary has worked 15 years on this job, but unfortunately, because of what's going on in our economy, the job has to close. Mary loses her job. Mary's a single mom with multiple kids. She's a single mom. She is on governmental assistance such as food stamps, and Mary lives in this small city. It's hard for her to find a job because either she's overqualified or they don't need this position filled. So Mary's applying to different jobs. Mary's children are 14, 15, 16, they're above this age, right? So she can't get the waiver.
They always love to pull this crap. They create an incredibly specific hypothetical scenario to prove that they're right. Even though the person they're describing clearly doesn't exist, it makes no sense.
Mary also, her bills begin to fall behind because of the fact is Mary can't afford to keep them on because that was her only source of income. Mary's still trying to struggle to find a job. Her children get sick. She needs to bring them to the doctor, but because she doesn't have a job, she no longer has Medicaid either. So now Mary has no job. Mary no longer has health insurance because she didn't have a job. And let's just say Mary doesn't have family to help. So not only does Mary no longer have her lights on, not only does Mary no longer have food for her kids.
Madam, Mary is not real. She was literally created by you just now, and you're trying to guilt trip the entire internet into having sympathy for a woman that is completely imaginary.
Mary sinks into depression, but because she doesn't have health care, she can't seek out what she needs to get her back at a level where she's no longer depressed. I predict that not only will unaliving rates go up, but crime rates will go up, and all of these things will happen also that the 1% gets their tax breaks that they need. This is Lady Queen Black with news.
She's making all of these predictions based on her own feelings. She has no evidence to back up any of her outlandish claims. She just repeats uninformed talking points because she can't be bothered to do her own research. But anyway, guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Drop a comment and I will see you all in the next one. Make sure you take care of yourselves, guys. Peace.